Yes, all of us have read comic books. There is a particular story that would be discussed in this last stage talk of our final day of HLF. It's about Godavari Dange. It is a struggle of tilling 1 acre of land and growing food crops instead of cash crops, making it a success, ensuring that there is food on her in front of a family every night, which drew more than 60,000 people, 60,000 folks of her village to join her, and it's become a real big movement. This story was beautifully captured by Reetika, Revathy Subramanian, and Maitri Dore in a comic form. We will be joined by both of them and Gayatri online. Moderating this session is Pankaja, who will also be calling in Sharayu and Jamila. Pankaja will be moderating while Sharayu will be translating the text, either speaking in English, but she will talk about her translation of the same comic book in Telugu, and Jamila in Urdu. I request Pankaja, Sharayu, and Jamila to please come on the stage.
So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to Hyderabad Lit Fest for inviting us to discuss this fabulous comic book about an equally amazing lady called Godavari Dange. So the creators of this comic book are Reetika Subramanian, who is doing her PhD in Gender Studies in Cambridge, in the United Kingdom, and Maitri Dore, who is doing her PhD in Sweden on cultural heritage conservation. So they are two young women who have done a remarkable job, and I stumbled upon this comic when it came to me for reviewing for a rural media organization that I work for. And we have Jamila and we have Sharayu, who have translated this comic into Telugu and into Urdu, hoping that it will reach more people. It really, lot of us need to know this story, because Godavari Dange is an amazing woman, a woman farmer, and Reetika and Maitri's comic, Raindrop in the Drought, has really to a lot of big extent removed the cloak of invisibility over the hard work women farmers do. So I think we are starting, that is Reetika and Maitri. Welcome, and how lovely to see you. I wish you all were here in person, because I'm terribly nervous about this online interaction, as they all know. And Godavari ji, namaste. Namaste. And she's the hero of the comic, the protagonist. And, sorry? Oh, she's on mute. Godavari ji, wo on kariye, volume.
Sorry. Namaste.
Namaste, हाँ, ठीक है. So we will start with a short screening of the film. Reetika, is that right?
Yes, we just show you like a minute of the, give you a glimpse of the book.
Yes.
And Paridhi, can you just screen it? It will be the first chapter of our book.
Yes, so that to give you an idea, and then they'll start. Thank you.
माझा जन्म 1977 साली मराठवाड्यातल्या तुळजापूर तालुक्यातील गंधुरा गावी झाला. माझे वडील भीमाशंकर डांगे गुरुजी हे गावातल्या शाळेमध्ये शिक्षक होते. आम्ही गुरव समाजाचे, आमची जात गुरव. मी जन्मले तेव्हा बाबांना आनंद तर खूप झाला, पण काळजीही वाटत होती. 1960च्या दशकाच्या उत्तरार्धात भारत सरकारने शेतीच्या नवीन पद्धती अंमलात आणल्या. त्यामुळे कोरड्या ज्या जमिनी होत्या त्यांचं रूप बदलून हिरवीगार जमीन झाली. भात शेती किंवा गव्हाची शेती हे खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणात दिसू लागली. पंजाबसारखे राज्य, हरियाणा आणि उत्तर प्रदेशातले शेतकरी जे हरित क्रांतीचं यश अनुभवत होते. पण आमच्या मराठवाड्यात आम्ही 1972च्या ज्या भयंकर दुष्काळाचे परिणाम भोगत होतो. गोदावरी नदी ही लांबीने भारतातील दुसऱ्या क्रमांकाची नदी, जीवन देणारी आणि पोषण करणारी, म्हणून गोदामाई या नावाने आम्ही तिची पूजा करायचं. पण नेहमी येणाऱ्या दुष्काळामुळे ही नदी कोरडी पडलेली असायची. मराठवाड्यातल्या जनतेला इतका भयंकर दुष्काळ जवळपास अर्ध्या दशकानंतर सहन करावा लागायचा. माझी आई मला नेहमी सांगायची, गवत, दाना, पाणी न मिळाल्यामुळं शेकडो जनावरं मरून पडलेली असायची. कुटुंबांना कितीतरी दिवस अन्न मिळायचं नाही, पाणी मिळायचं नाही आणि पाण्याच्या एक एक थेंबासाठी बायकांची भांडणं व्हायची. मुलींची शाळा बंद असायची. मुलींना घरकामात मदत करण्यासाठी अनेक मुलींना शाळा सोडून द्यावी लागायची. शेतं उजाड आणि नापीक झालेली होती आणि उत्पन्नाचं दुसरं काहीच साधन नव्हतं. म्हणून गावातले जे पुरुष आहेत ते नोकरीच्या शोधात शहराकडे स्थलांतरित केले. माझा जन्म झाला तेव्हा आमच्याकडं शेत जमीन नव्हती, पण बाबा गंधोऱ्यातच राहिले आणि गावच्या आटत चाललेल्या नदीचं पुनर्जीवन करण्यासाठी प्रयत्न करतच राहिले.
So that was the first chapter
मला
of
शाळा खूप आवडायची. इतिहास माझा सगळ्यात आवडता विषय होता.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So that was the first chapter about Godavari Dange, and you know, it's a story of so many Indian women, you know, who I mean, and she's had all the odds against her. She's a woman. She comes from a family which was not very well-to-do. She comes from a community but was not considered, you know, high enough for whatever privileges which are there. And she's faced many tragedies, so on and so forth. But she has, like, you know, she has come out of it all and she has shown the way. And in what a wonderful way. I think I'll let Reetika and Maitri tell you all about the whole collaboration and how the comic came about. So Maitri and Reetika, over to you.
Sure. Firstly, on behalf of Godavari Dange, Maitri and myself, we'd really like to thank everyone at HLF for giving us the opportunity to share our work. And I think, you know, we just showed you like a short glimpse of the book, and you know, the project really started back in 2020, right in the middle of COVID waves, you know, wherein there was this whole you know, call for comic books on indigenous feminisms across the global south, and this was being hosted by the Goethe Institute in Jakarta. And we were selected, you know, as part of 16 teams from like a pool of over 200 applications. And we were really fortunate to be able to be given these resources and the platform. And one of the things that we wanted to do was, you know, focus on agriculture, women, and climate. You know, this is a very important part of the discourse, which is largely invisible, because, you know, women make up nearly half of the labor force in the agricultural sector. You know, they work in farms, in the household farms, they're working as half workers, but never really given the recognition, even by their families or even by the state or the community. And which was one of the reasons when we came across Godavari Dange's story and, you know, her own experiences. And one thing that really struck us was how, you know, she has, you know, how her personal experiences and struggles, which I think she will speak about herself, really speak about the larger conversation around like agriculture, larger conversation around, you know, patriarchy. And without really like trying to sound very theoretical, one of the things that the comic book helped us do was really simplify these concepts, simplify these very important ideas, and make it accessible to everyone. Maitri?
Yeah, so how, just to tell you a bit about how we went about doing the comic and coming up with the book itself. So the idea was to have field work in the Marathwada region and see Godavari Dange's life, meet her colleagues, friends, family, everyone who's helped shape her and been an important part of her life and in her work, who's helped her come up with this innovative farming model. So how we went about the research was to spend like 4 or 5 days in the region and speak to her and interview her, the people who are close to her, and just get a lot of material that would help make the book authentic and close to her reality over there. So this has also involved taking tons of photographs and of all the tiny details. This is how we went about doing the drawing part, at least. So to take tons of photos and document every single thing so that we could make it as close to life as possible. So this is from the way she tied her hair or her handbag or the landscape, everything. And because we were relying on the medium of comics and the visual to tell this story, since it would transcend linguistic barriers. That was the hope. And in terms of the drawing itself, it was made with color pencils and scanned, and we were constantly in conversation with her, asking her whether something worked or didn't, and we had this WhatsApp group, so we tried to make it as collaborative as possible.
And गोदावरी ताई, आप बताइए, आप पहले तो आप बताइए आपने क्या किया, इतना बढ़िया काम जो किया, जो रीतिका और मैत्री ने आपके बारे में ये कॉमिक बनाया, और उसका क्या असर हुआ है आपके जो साथियों हैं. उन्होंने लिखा है कि 60,000 महिला फार्मर्स अब आपने जो सिखाया उनको उस पे चल रहे हैं और अभी भूख नहीं है. There is, she has lifted them out of hunger, out of poverty. There is food on the table every day, and that is amazing. तो गोदावरी जी, आप बताएं क्या उसके बारे में. Thank you.
सगळ्यांना नमस्ते. आणि मी खरं तर आज एवढ्या मोठ्या कार्यक्रमामध्ये लॉन्चिंगची संधी मिळाली, कारण आत्ताच ऋतिका आणि मैत्रिणी सांगितलं की अगोदरचं जर्मनीमध्ये झालं, तर त्यावेळेला ऑनलाईनच होते, आत्ताही ऑनलाईन आहे, पण एक वेगळा आनंद झाला की आपल्या देशामध्ये पण लॉन्चिंगसाठी आपल्याला एक, आणि सगळ्यात महत्वाचं, मी बुककड नंतर येते, पण जे आम्ही आमचा जे मराठवाडा आहे, उस्मानाबाद जिल्हा मराठवाड्यातला, तर तो नेहमी कुठल्या ना कुठल्या आपत्ती, अति दुष्काळ तर आहे किंवा अति पाऊस तर आहे, आणि ह्या दोन्हीमुळे नेहमी आम्हाला आपत्तीला सामोरं जावं लागतं. आणि त्यातल्या त्यात जसा 2012 ते 16 पर्यंतचा जो दुष्काळ होता, आणि ह्या दुष्काळामध्ये खूप लोकांना, आणि कुठलीही आपत्ती आली की त्यात महिलांना खूप त्रास होतो आणि महिलांना जास्त सामोरं जावं लागतं. तर जसा दुष्काळ पडला जवळपास 5 वर्ष, आणि त्या दुष्काळामध्ये जनावरांना चारा मिळत नव्हता, पिण्यासाठी पाणी मिळत नव्हतं, आणि लोकांचे व्यवसाय बंद झालेले होते. लोकांनाही जनावर विकण्याचं जे प्रमाण आहे ते पण खूप जास्त होतं, आणि जे मायग्रेंटचं प्रमाण आहे बाहेर शहराच्या ठिकाणी जाण्याचं, तर हे खूप झालेलं होतं. तर मी ऋतिका कंटिन्यू करू ना का ट्रान्सलेट करू?
Translate करू म्हणजे should I just translate this bit, like so it will be easier to register? Okay. So Godavari Tai was saying that she's very thankful for this opportunity because this is the first time we're actually presenting our book in India, and it's always good to come back home and share the work. And one of the things that she spoke about was Osmanabad district, which is in Marathwada region, which is where she comes from, is a region that is a district which is infamous for its rainfall variability, and sometimes it's raining very heavily, sometimes there's absolutely no water. And the drought between 2012 and 2016, which was considered to be one of the most serious period of droughts, cyclical droughts, during that time, many women were grappling with, just their everyday survival. Animals didn't get fodder. There was no, people lost their jobs. The extent of migration increased rapidly. And it was in this context that Godavari Tai, continued.
एक तर व्यवसाय बंद झाल्यामुळं जे उत्पन्न घटलं आणि मग त्यामुळं लोकांना काम मिळायचं नाही, लोक बाहेर जायचे आणि आजाराचं प्रमाण पण खूप वाढलं त्याच्यात. हे आजार वाढल्यामुळं म्हणजे आर्थिक दोन्ही पण नुकसान, की दवाखान्यासाठीचाही खर्च आणि शेतीत पण उत्पन्न नसलेलंही आर्थिक कुटुंबाचं नुकसान होत होतं. तर आम्ही त्यावेळेला आमच्या जिल्ह्यातले कृषी विज्ञान केंद्र आहे, ऍग्रीकल्चर डिपार्टमेंट आहे, तर ह्यांच्यासोबत लोकांना काय करता येईल आणि आम्ही ज्या महिलांनी केलेलं आहे की शेतीपूरक व्यवसाय जर केला, कमी पाण्यात येणारे पीक घेतले तर त्याच्यातून हे करता येतं. आणि आम्ही त्या काळामध्ये 5 जल, जमीन, जंगल, जनावर आणि जन, ह्या 5 ला जपण्यासाठी खूप प्रयत्न केला आणि मग आम्ही तिथून आमच्या शेतीची पण सुरुवात केली.
Yeah. So she was talking about, that particular period, which, we showed you in the chapter 1 as well about what happened in the 1970s and what is happening in this decade was in a way a repetition of the same sort of, cyclical droughts. And during this period, Godavari Tai was talking about, how people there was high migration, but also there was a high rate of illness which was reported because, nutrition levels of people had dropped and, there was no money to, access food, also access like healthcare. And during this time, Godavari Tai, along with other women from the Swayam Shikshan Prayog Sanstha, they approached the agricultural officer and, sort of thought of ways in which they could think of, combining a model which would, on the one hand, feed communities and on the other hand, also lead to, increased livelihood. And which is when they focused on the aspects of water, of forest rights, of land, of animals, and also, looking at a larger ecological solution.
आम्ही तिथून परत शेती संदर्भात आमची जी संस्था आहे स्वयं शिक्षण प्रयोग संस्था, तर महिलांसोबत महिला सक्षमीकरणाच्या सोबत काम करते. तर आम्ही एक महिलांचा, कारण 5,000 बचत गट आमचे पूर्वी होते, तर त्या 5,000 ज्या महिला बचत गटातलं कर्ज आहे तर ते 2 कारणासाठी जास्त जायचं. एक आरोग्य आणि दुसरं आहे ते शेतीसाठी. आणि दोन्ही खर्च हे अनुत्पादक होतं, त्याच्यातून दोन्ही उत्पन्न येत नव्हते. आणि एकीकडे बघितलं तर पुरुष आहे, जसं की देश पुरुष प्रधान आहे, तसं शेती पण पुरुषाच्या वरच अवलंबून होती. आणि पुरुषांना असं नेहमी वाटायचं की आपण कॅश क्रॉप घ्यायला पाहिजे आणि त्यातून जसं ऊस आहे, सोयाबीन आहे आणि ह्या कॅश क्रॉप मधून आपल्याला पैसे मिळतील. पण दुसरीकडली बाजू बघितली तर कुटुंबाची अन्न सुरक्षा होत नव्हती आणि खायला चांगलं अन्न मिळत नव्हतं. मग आम्ही आमच्या ज्या बचत गटातल्या महिला आहेत तर ह्या महिलांसोबत एक अभ्यास केला की चांगलं अन्न, फूड सिक्युरिटी का होत नाही, अन्न सुरक्षा कुटुंबाची करण्यासाठी काय करायला पाहिजे. आणि ह्या अभ्यासातून आम्हाला असं दिसून आलं की जे काही घरी लागणारे धान्य आहेत, जे पारंपरिक पद्धतीचे धान्य आहेत, जसं की तूर, उडीद, मूग, हे जे धान्य आहेत तर हे सगळे कमी होत चाललेत आणि विकत आणून खाण्याचं प्रमाण खूप कमी झालेलं आहे. आणि त्यातल्या त्यात महिलांच्या अंगामध्ये जे HBचं प्रमाण होतं, हिमोग्लोबिनचं, तर ते खूप कमी होत चाललंय. तर मग कुठंतरी आपल्याला न्यूट्रिशनसाठी जे धान्य आहे तर ते घ्यायला पाहिजे. म्हणून आम्ही मग 1 एकर मॉडेलची सुरुवात केली आणि सखी अन्न सुरक्षा शेती करायला सुरुवात केली.
So, Godavari Tai, continuing from what she was talking about, the whole context of drought, spoke about how it became very important for them to focus on health on the one hand, health and nutrition on the one hand, and the other hand also ensuring like livelihood opportunities. And what they realized was that, most of the male farmers, the men farmers who also had access to land, were focusing on, growing cash crops such as sugarcane and soybean. So on the one hand, and these are all water intensive crops. So while they were growing these crops are not necessarily, meant to, ensure they could solve the problem of food insecurity. So their families, on the other hand, were still starving and there was no real food on the plate. So which is when, they basically brought together around 5,000 women who were part of the self-help group that was run by Swayam Shikshan Prayog. And during conversations, and they also did like a research study, they found that, one of the reasons was there was no lentils on their plate, for instance. They were not buying leafy vegetables. And since they were not growing it themselves, it was also not possible for them to buy it from the market. So which is why, they were really making do with whatever little that they could. And, hemoglobin levels of the women had dropped significantly. And, there was a huge effect on their nutrition and well-being. So, set against this context is how Godavari Tai, along with others at Swayam Shikshan Prayog, pioneered the 1 acre model. And she'll tell us a little more about the model itself.
जे काही शेतात आम्ही 1 एकर मॉडेलमध्ये, कारण 1 एकर मॉडेल असंच झालं नाही, कारण आम्ही सुरुवात केली 2009 मध्ये. तर पुरुषांनी खूप विरोध केला की 1 एकर मध्ये करणं, कारण आता काय झाले, सगळ्या यंत्रणा झालेत की ट्रॅक्टर आहे, हार्वेस्टर आहे. तर पुरुषांना जे पेरणीचं किंवा काढणीचं आहे तर ते शक्य नव्हतं. आणि मग पुरुषांचा खूप विरोध की छोट्या छोट्या प्रमाणामध्ये लागवड करायचं. 1 एकर मध्ये 10 गुंठ्यामध्ये आम्ही जे पीक घ्यायचं, तर एक लाईन मध्ये काढणं आणि त्याची हार्वेस्ट करणं हे खूप मुश्किल होतं. पण हे काम महिलाच करू शकतात. आणि महिलांचे अनुभव, कारण पारंपरिक पद्धतीने शेती करणाऱ्या ह्या महिलाच आहेत. तर महिलांनी आम्ही ठरवलं आणि 1 एकर मध्ये मग प्रत्येक ह्याचे की उडीद किती लागतं, त्याचं एक वर्षामध्ये एका कुटुंबाला किती धान्य लागतं, एका कुटुंबात 5 व्यक्ती असतील तर त्याच्यासाठी आपल्याला किती धान्य लागतं ह्याचा आम्ही KVK सोबत एक अभ्यास केला की डाळी असतील तर 15 किलो, गहू असेल तर 50-60 किलो, असा आम्ही एक अभ्यास केला. आणि त्या अभ्यासानुसार मग ते कलवे जे काय आम्ही उत्पन्न घ्यायला सुरुवात केली. पण सुरुवातीला पुरुषांनी आम्हाला 10 गुंठे आणि महिलांनी असं की कारण आमच्याकडे शेतीचं प्रमाण पण खूप कमी आहे की 5 एकरच्या आतले जास्त शेतकरी आहेत अल्पभूधारक. तर त्यांना 10 गुंठ्यापासून किंवा जे काही लँड वेस्ट आहे की पुरुष तिथं शेती करू शकत नाही, तर अशा ठिकाणी आम्ही ते करायला सुरुवात केली. त्याच्यामुळं एक झालं की कुटुंबातला आरोग्याचा होणारा खर्च कमी झाला. आणि दुसरं की शेती हे आहे, तर शेती मध्ये जे उत्पन्न निघत होतं त्याच्यामुळे ते शेतीची पण सुधारणा झाली. आणि सगळ्यात महत्वाचं की ज्या पैसे लोक जे शेतकरी विकत होते धान्य मार्केटला जाऊन, तर ते जे पैसे जे होते तर ते पुरुषांच्या हातामध्ये मिळत होते. पण 1 एकर मध्ये जे पण उत्पन्न निघालं घरच्या कुटुंबापुरतं 1 वर्षभरामध्ये झालं. आणि बाकीचं राहिलेलं त्यांच्या गावातल्या ज्या महिलांना शेती नाही अशा शेतकरी महिलांना ते विकलं गेलं. म्हणजे त्यांची अन्न सुरक्षा झाली आणि ह्यांनाही खायला चांगलं मिळालं लागलं. तर हे आमच्या 1 एकर मॉडेलचं अन्न सुरक्षा शेती आहे. आणि आज आमच्या जवळपास महाराष्ट्रामध्ये 3 जिल्ह्यामध्ये आम्ही जवळपास अगोदर 60,000 महिलांसोबत करत होतो, पण आता आम्ही 1 लाख महिलांसोबत आम्ही हे शेती करायला सुरुवात केलेली.
Okay, thank you. So, just to sort of like describe the 1 acre model, Godavari Tai was telling us how the land holding of families over there is relatively low. It's not more than like 4 to 5 acres. And what they essentially did was sort of encourage women to grow food crops, around 36 varieties of crops. And to do that, what they did was they undertaken a study and based on the number of family members in a household, say around 5, and then accordingly calculated the number of crops that need to be grown and how much each of these crops needed to be grown. And accordingly, they came up with the whole, turning 1 acre of land, one plot of land into like, a place where they could grow these food crops. In turn, what has happened is that, on the one hand, yes, there's more food security where, there are like lentils and grains being grown. And on the other hand, the crops that are being sold by the women, themselves in the market, they are the ones who are also accessing the money that they're earning out of it. So in some ways, it has sort of, also led to an income generation activity. And just to sum up, she was saying that earlier, like when we were working on the book, which was 2 years ago during COVID, 60,000 women were practicing the 1 acre model. And over time, today, the model has spread to 3 districts in Maharashtra, and nearly 1 lakh women are practicing the 1 acre model. Thank you. Yeah.
त्याचबरोबरीनं कारण वेळ किती आहे माहित नाही, पण मला बुक बद्दल थोडं हे करायचंय. तर कारण कॉमिक्स बुक जे बनलं ते कारण सुरुवातीला मला मैत्रिणी ऋतिकाने फोन केला, आणि तसं तर माझं हिंदी पण मला एकदम म्हणजे चांगलं येत नाही. आणि ज्यावेळेस ऋतिकाचा फोन आला तर त्यावेळेला मला कुठंतरी असं थोडं वाटलं, आणि मी ऋतिकाला म्हणले की मला हिंदी इतना अच्छा नाही आता है. तर म्हणल्याबरोबर ऋतिकांनी म्हणले की मी मराठी बोलू शकते, आणि मला त्यावेळेस खूप बरं वाटलं की कारण मला पूर्ण स्पष्ट त्यांना बोलता येईल की माझं हे होतं. आणि ज्या वेळेला सुरुवातीला कारण ह्या दोघींनी हे बुक्स बनण्याच्या पाठीमागं खूप कष्ट घेतलेलं आहे, आणि ह्याचे सगळे श्रेय त्यांना जातात. कारण आज माझी ओळख कारण गोदावरी म्हणून बऱ्याच वेळेला टीव्ही पेपरच्या माध्यमातून मी दिसत होते, पण एक बुकच्या माध्यमातून जी माझी ओळख करून दिली ऋतिकाने मैत्रिणी, तर ह्याच्यासाठी मी त्यांना दोघींनाही खूप खूप धन्यवाद देते. आणि हे कॉमिक्स बनलं कारण माझ्यासारखी एक ग्रामीण भागातली महिला जिला इंग्रजी लिहिता वाचता बोलता तिने येत नाही, पण ह्यानी जे सुरुवातीला मराठी आणि इंग्लिश बुक आलं, कारण जर इंग्लिश आलं असतं तर आम्ही वाचू शकलो नसतो, आणि मराठीतून बुक आलं. आणि बुक आल्यानंतर मी कंटिन्यू करू ना? बुक आल्यानंतर जे ऑनलाईन पाठवलं त्यांनी इतकं छान सिस्टम केली की घरापर्यंत कुरिअरनी पोच करणं, दोन्हीचे 10 प्रती त्यांनी घरापर्यंत पाठवले. मी त्याचे इतके सुंदर व्हिडिओ पण बनवलेले आहेत की कसं त्यांनी पाठवलंय ते. आणि सगळ्यात महत्वाचं की मराठी असल्यामुळं आम्ही ते कारण मी ज्या शाळेत शिकले, ज्या लोकांनी मला खूप सपोर्ट केला, तर त्यांच्यापर्यंत मी अगोदर बुक दिला. आमच्या ज्या महिला बचत गट आहेत आणि स्कूल आहेत तर तिथं, आणि प्रत्येक आमच्या जिल्ह्याचे जे अधिकारी आहेत आमदार पर्यंत, जे कृषी अधिकारी असतील, विस्तार अधिकारी असतील किंवा आमदार असतील, तर त्यांनाही दिलं. आणि ज्या वेळेला आमच्या कलेक्टर ऑफिसला मी बुक्स घेऊन गेले, आमच्या काही मैत्रिणी आणि मी दोघी गेलो होतो, तर तिथं बुक्स घेऊन गेल्यानंतर कलेक्टर सर त्या दिवशी उपस्थित नव्हते. सर नसल्यामुळं मी त्यांच्या PA कडे ते बुक दिलं, आणि बुक देऊन परत आले तर सरांनी मला फोन केला की ताई तुमचं कॉमिक्स खूप छान झालंय. कारण एक कलेक्टर सरांचा फोन येतो आणि एक बुक बद्दल त्यांनी चर्चा करतात की खूप छान झालं आणि मला तुम्हाला भेटायचं आणि तुम्हाला तुमचं काम बघायचंय, तर मला खूप आनंद झाला. आणि खरं तर आत्ता जे उर्दू आणि तेलुगू मध्ये जे झालं, तर भाषा एक जरी येत असेल तर अनेक भाषेचं बुक मात्र बनलेलं आहे.
Okay. So yes, the thing is, when we had begun working on the comic book, when we approached Godavari Tai, one of the things was the language barrier we were worried about. So initially Godavari Tai was talking about how she was not very familiar with Hindi and not comfortable, but somehow we managed to communicate in my Marathi and her Marathi, and we somehow managed to find a sweet spot. The thing that she was highlighting was about taking this book back to the community itself. As a comic book, she said that she could take it back to the women in her village who didn't speak English, but when there was a Marathi translation that came up, it was easier to sort of distribute it and take it back to her school, take it back to her family, take it back to women in the self-help groups. And also, more importantly, also to different officers, including the agricultural officer, the MLA, also the collector. So she was talking about how she had, gone to the collector to give him a copy of the book, and he wasn't around. But he made it a point to call her back and tell her that he was really intrigued by her story and wanted to meet her and learn more about the 1 acre model, which was a very big day for her. And finally, she spoke about how, the fact that now the book is getting translated into multiple languages, it's something which is very exciting for her because, she's been written about in newspapers locally and, but right now to be, having a book in her name is something which she thinks is a big honor.
I think
you.
it must be very, very satisfying, yeah,
Yeah.
to both of you all, because I think this whole project started as, writing something about feminists at the grassroots level. And Maitri, particularly for you, the fact that many women who are unlettered are still getting so much out of, your comic book, that must be so nice, so gratifying. And from what Godavari Tai said, the word Purush came up many times. So obviously there has been a change in the way the men folk are, looking at Godavari Tai and her other sister farmers, because they were unheard, they were unseen, pretty much invisible, not given the time of day, and now suddenly, that has helped as well. So I think for both of you, it must be wonderful. And she talked about translation, so we have the two translators right here with us. We've got Sharayu and we've got Jamila ji, and I think you all have done a heroic task. And what was your experience in translating it into Telugu, Sharayu?
I was honored. It is a real honor to be translating something of this caliber from Marathi into Telugu. And I was also ably assisted. The translator's work is not complete with translation. You also need a good editor to go through it and read and follow up. So my friend and colleague Padma was also there, who supported me with the editing. And what I mean to say is any task of this level, Godavari Tai, I will speak to her in Marathi. मी तुमचे खूप आभारी आहे कारण मला तुमचं पुस्तक मराठीतून तेलुगूमध्ये लिहायचा अवसर मिळाला आणि मी स्वतः मराठी बोलणारी आहे. माझे आई-वडील महाराष्ट्राचे आहे आणि विदर्भ आणि मराठवाड्यामध्ये जो दुष्काळ होतो त्याच्याबद्दल आम्हाला सुद्धा खूप माहीत आहे. तर तुम्ही एवढं काम केलं त्याबद्दल मी खरोखर तुमची खूप आभारी आहे. आणि हे काम करताना मला खूप मजा आली. I really enjoyed the translation because it was such a beautiful narrative. It was such a beautiful narrative. My only challenge was I wanted to bring it. The book is written in a style, it's a narration. It is in her own, it has come straight from her heart. And I wanted to keep that basic essence. So I had to put it in a language, I had to put it in a language which was, let us say, a woman farmer from Telangana or Andhra Pradesh would understand. Children would be able to read it in schools and empathize with it. And I'm talking about the children in rural India, in children in the rural areas. So it was a very exciting and fulfilling experience.
And really, it is such a spare and elegant work, Raindrop in the Drought. I think that makes it even more challenging. It's written so. So we'll ask Jamila ji about how she went about it. She's very reticent, but I think we'll force her to speak.
I just don't feel like speaking, especially when Godavari flows. Yes. Godavari flows from west to east, and then her work flows from west. I hope it flows to the north and everywhere else, because it is such a powerful story. It is not a story only of a woman. It's a story of a woman who has come out of her, you start thinking about her childhood. She was a victim of a child marriage also. Then she came out of that, and then she became strong. thanks to that, whatever incident has happened, I don't want to mention that. But anyway, she became more independent after that. And she became the inspiring source for so many of the women. And thanks to the powerful, it is not just a feminist perspective, it is not just women, it is the issues of farmers. Cash crop has gone so much for making money these days that people just don't want to have the other important organic farming. That she has shown. Then when you talk about environment, she has shown about environment. She has worked on many levels. And she is a protagonist not only for Maharashtra, but for all over India, because all over India, women have to be like that. It's a rural woman, and it's important for city women to understand what power she has got. And that was the most inspiring thing. And it is not that I did the translation. I only, as you said, Padma edited, but I only read here and there, and I felt very happy. The whole team, Shaheen team got involved. They read together, they made the story. And it is not in fine Urdu, it is purely Hyderabadi language, a Dakhni language, which is spoken. And I'm sure all city women will enjoy, not just enjoy, but feel empowered that we have one sister in Maharashtra and she will take us forward. I'm sure Godavari will flow.
गोदावरी ताई समझ में आया ना, इतना खूबसूरत से दोनों ने आपका जो जीवन कहानी है इतना ब्यूटीफुली दे हैव शोन, और हम सबको strength, we are all feeling empowered because of that. You can, so many levels the comic addresses life of a woman and generally the farmers in so many levels, whether it's nutrition, whether it is health, whether it is self-esteem. It's a universal language. And so we just hope that, I don't know how much time we have, Bharati? We have? Another 5 minutes. 15 minutes. Okay. So, please share a little bit more about, the whole collaborative process. What are the future plans? What are Godavari Tai's plans? Where does she go from here? I'm sure she must be having other, plans, other ways of empowering women. So please do tell us.
Yeah.
Maitri, what's your next comic? We'd like to know that too.
I mean, as you said, this started 2 years ago, and it was a relatively small project, and now it's just taken on a life of its own. So that is really an honor and a privilege. And because we got a grant to do it in English and Marathi, and then we self-funded the Hindi translation, and then had got a director, a filmmaker, Jitu Pagare, from the region of Marathwada to make this into a movie. So, and now we have 2 new translations, so it's really great. And yeah, in the future, possibly more translations, more such stories about such triumphs from parts of the country that are not focused on in the national media very often. And we just want this story and other stories like this to reach more people, and maybe in different formats like the movie, and other ways of visual media, other ways of reaching people, so that these stories can reach a wider audience. That would be really great.
Lovely. And would Godavari Tai want to say something in conclusion?
ताई, तुम्हाला काही सांगायचं आहे आता? तुमचं फ्युचर प्लॅन्स काय आहे? तुम्हाला म्यूट मध्ये आहे तुम्ही.
And there'll be questions people might want to ask you all questions out.
हो सर.
एक तर जे आम्ही केलेलं जे मॉडेल आहे शेतीमधलं, तर हे प्रत्येक गावातल्या महिलांनी करायला पाहिजे, प्रत्येक जिल्ह्यात, प्रत्येक तालुक्यात आणि आपल्या पूर्ण देशभरामध्ये सुद्धा हे मॉडेल व्हायला पाहिजे. कारण खूप गरज आहे की कुटुंबाची अन्न सुरक्षा करण्याची. आणि सगळ्यात महत्त्वाचं आता जे आम्ही करतो, जसं आमचं मॉडेल बघून इंडोनेशियामध्ये सुद्धा तिथल्या महिलांनी केले आमच्या नेटवर्कच्या. तर असं सगळ्यांनी करायला पाहिजे. आणि हे मॉडेल कारण ह्याच्यामधले जे मुख्य हे आहे की जर समजा आरोग्य चांगलं असेल तरच आपण पुढचं सगळं भवितव्य आपलं आहे. आणि जर समजा आरोग्यच नाही तर कितीही पैसा आणि कितीही काही येऊन उपयोग नाही. तर त्याच्यासाठी आपली सुरक्षा आपण करायला पाहिजे आणि हे महिलाच करू शकतात. तर महिलांसाठी तयार केलेलं हे जे मॉडेल आहे तर हे सगळ्यांनीच करायला पाहिजे आणि प्रत्येक गावागावामध्ये आणि प्रत्येक देशभरामध्ये हे पोहोचायला पाहिजे. आणि आणखीन एक आहे की जसं आता जे कॉमिक्स आहे की मराठी, इंग्लिश, उर्दू आणि तमिळ झालं, सॉरी हे झालं, तर तसं आमचं काम जे आहे स्वयं शिक्षण प्रयोग संस्थेचं की प्रत्येक राज्यामध्ये आहे, केरळमध्ये आहे, तामिळनाडूमध्ये आहे. तर मलयाळम जे एक आहे तर त्या पण भाषेमध्ये एखादं झालं तरी आणखीन खूप आनंदाची गोष्ट आहे.
Okay, Godavari was talking about, how the model, one of the things that she desires for this model is that it reaches every woman across India, across different villages, across different states, because what stands at the heart and center is food security, and it is very important to focus on that. She's also talking about how the model has actually been adopted by, women farmers in Indonesia who are part of the network. So, it is something which is again like spreading far and wide. And she also highlighted that health is very important because, if health is at this, again, heart and center of this whole conversation, because it's very important to ensure that there's food on the plate. And she said that, it is this 1 acre model is sort of exemplifying, that the significance of it. And finally, she said that, right now we have the comic book in Marathi, English, Hindi, Urdu and Telugu. And, she hopes that it also is translated in Malayalam so that the women networks, the farmer networks that they run in Kerala are also able to access it. Hopefully, yes, soon. ऐकायला येत नाही. म्यूटवर आहे तुम्ही.
सगळ्यांना धन्यवाद की कारण सुरुवात ऋतिकाने मैत्रिणी केली, पण तुम्ही पण तुमचा शर्यू, जमिला ताई आणि पंकजा ताई, तुम्ही आज खूप छान पद्धतीनं या कार्यक्रमाचं रूप बदलून आणलं, तर त्याबद्दल सगळ्यांना थँक्यू.
थैंक यू गोदावरी ताई. आज ये तेलुगु जो ट्रांसलेशन जो है आपका, वो आज हम रिलीज़ कर रहे हैं यहाँ. छाया पब्लिशर्स ने किया है तेलुगु वाला. उर्दू वाला अभी प्रिंट में है, अभी तक आया नहीं है, लेकिन आ जाएगा. और I hope it comes in all the languages, as many languages as possible, because your story is worth reading. Everyone should know about it. It should reach every corner, especially, everywhere. Urban, rural, children, grown-ups, whatever. And we'll just quickly, I wish you all were here, then you all could have, released it. But I don't know, I call Amita. May I?
Well, I think I'm heard. The Urdu translation team, as well as the calligraphy, the written word of this particular project, the Telugu translation with Shariu and Padma, and the actual printing that has happened at the Chaya Publications. I think all of this has been, Pankaja, an incredible energy of sorts, all the way from Sweden, England, to Godavari Tai in Maharashtra, via Hyderabad, has been an incredibly warm and successful event. Congratulations to all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Oh, okay. Okay. Me too. Okay.
गोदावरी ताई तुमचं पुस्तक
She's beaming from ear to ear. Yeah, yeah. What an honor. It's been an honor and a privilege, yes, and thank you. Yes, the illustrations are fabulous.
Even the drawings are so good.
Yes, yes. And if any of you have any questions you might want to ask, publishers, the translators, Godavari, Reetika, Maitri, please feel free to ask them.
Okay, I'll start with a question.
Yes.
It's, sorry? Light thoda kam kar. She started growing food crops. Did that also lead to lesser usage of water and also helped in more crop yield? So, yes, so I don't know Marathi, so I wanted, yes, the mic is there.
गोदावरी ताई यांचा प्रश्न होता, तुम्ही शेती करायला सुरू केली त्याच्यामुळे कमी पाण्याचा वापर झाला का? कारण मराठवाड्यामध्ये दुष्काळ होता ना, तर पाणी कमी वापरलं जातं का तुमच्या शेतीमध्ये, तुम्ही केलेल्या शेतीमध्ये?
शेतीमध्ये पाणी तर कमी वापरलं जातं, पण कमी पाण्याचे पीक सुद्धा आम्ही घेतात. कमी पाण्याचे आणि जसं ड्रीप आहे, ठिबक आहे आणि शेती संदर्भातलं पाणी कसं बचत करायला पाहिजे, तर ह्याच्यासाठी आम्ही जास्तीत जास्त महिलांना मार्गदर्शन करतो. कारण जर समजा आपण असं सरळ पाठ पद्धतीनं पाणी दिलं तर किती लागतं, ठिबक आणि ड्रीपने केलं तरी किती लागतं, हे आम्ही महिलांना ट्रेनिंग पण देतो त्याच्यामध्ये. आणि त्या माध्यमातून आम्ही खूप कमी पाण्याचा वापर करून शेती करतो. कारण आमचा जिल्हाच असा आहे की पडणारा पावसाचं थेंब हे नदीला वाहून जातं आणि आमच्यामध्ये कारण फक्त आम्ही एकच पीक चांगल्या प्रकारे घेऊ शकतात, जे दुसरं आहे रब्बीचं, तर ते सुद्धा पीक आम्हाला घेता येत नाही. तर रब्बीच्या वेळेला आम्हाला ड्रीप आणि ठिबकचाच वापर करून शेती करावी लागते. आणि शक्यतो जास्तीत जास्त पावसाचा पडणारा प्रत्येक थेंब आहे ते शेतात कसं मुरवता येईल ह्याच्यासाठी पण आम्ही काम करतो.
Reetika, would you like to?
Okay. So yes, Godavari Tai was talking about how one of the focus is to come up with water saving techniques, and they do train the women farmers in different irrigation techniques and sort of measure how much water is being used in this process. And she also said that the location of Osmanabad district and the villages there is in such a way that water, even rainwater, doesn't really stay on the ground; it flows to the river. So which is why, keeping all these aspects in mind, their focus is on like growing water saving sort of crops as part of this whole process through training and constantly sort of working with the agricultural department as well.
Any question?
For the authors, a question: what were some of the highlights and the challenges of collaborating together?
Okay, I think one of the things is that, Maitri and I have a very long-standing friendship. So, which was also a good thing in this whole collaborative process, because I think one of the things is that, it has always been a collaboration from the beginning, wherein, we decided to, we thought of the proposal together, brought in Godavari Dange on board. And in addition to that, I think, we did the research together. We thought of every panel of the comic book together. What parts should be said in word, what parts should in text, what parts should come in the form of, illustration. So, which is why I think, we both feel very emotional about the project, because, we've seen it grow, panel by panel. So I think that was one highlight, was to work together itself. And yeah.
Yeah, I would agree that that was extreme.
बरं गोदावरी ताई, मी म्हटलेलं तुम्हाला ऐकू येत आहे ना?
हो, आता येते.
ऐकताय तुम्ही मी बोललेलं? हो.
हो हो.
2 छोटे प्रश्न ते एक मोठा प्रश्न झाला आहे. एका तुम्ही एकट्या होता आणि आता 60,000 लोक झाली आणि आता लाखपर्यंत झाली तुमची संगत. तर ह्याच्यात लहान वयाच्या बँकाचा सुद्धा समावेश आहे का? आणि दुसरा प्रश्न म्हणजे सरकारातर्फी तुम्हाला काही मदत मिळते आहे का?
एक तर मी मगाशीच सांगितलं की आम्ही बचत गटाचं काम खूप वर्षापासून आमची संस्था करते आणि त्यातल्या त्यात आम्ही 10 गावापासून सुरुवात केली. तुळजापूर तालुक्यातल्या 10 गावातल्या महिलांना एकत्र घेऊन शेती ह्या क्षेत्रात काम करण्यासाठी सुरुवात केली. तिथून महिलांचे शेतकरी गट स्थापन केले आणि त्या माध्यमातून आम्ही महिलांना सहभागी घेऊन, कारण अनुभवी महिला आणि नवीन पिढी दोन्ही पण मध्ये आहे आणि पूर्ण कुटुंबाचा सुद्धा त्याच्यामध्ये सहभाग आहे, कारण घरातल्या प्रत्येक लहान मुलांना सुद्धा माहित आहे आणि आता तरुण महिला पण आहेत, तर त्यांना त्याही ह्याच्यामध्ये सहभागी आहेत आणि त्याही ह्याच्यात काम करतात. आणि जास्तीत जास्त आता आम्ही यंग महिलांसोबतच काम चाललेलं आहे. जुन्या महिलांचे आम्ही खूप ह्याच्यामध्ये अनुभव घेतो, कारण 60 वर्षाच्या पुढच्या महिलांना शेतीमध्ये काम करणं शक्यच नाही. तर दोन्ही आमच्याकडे आहे ते. आणि शासनाची मदत म्हणलं तर आम्ही ज्या वेळेला सुरुवात केली तर त्यावेळेला आम्हाला कृषी विज्ञान केंद्र असेल किंवा ॲग्रिकल्चर डिपार्टमेंट असेल तर हे लोक आम्हाला म्हणायचे की सेंद्रिय शेती होऊ शकत नाही आणि खूप लॉसमध्ये जाते आणि शेतकऱ्यांची मानसिकता नाही. पण ज्या वेळेला आम्ही सुरुवात केली आणि करून दाखवलं, कारण आमचं ॲग्रिकल्चर डिपार्टमेंट आहे आणि केविके सोबत नेहमीच वेगळे वेगळे कार्यक्रम पण आम्ही ठेवतात. तर त्याच्यामध्ये ज्या महिलांचे अनुभव बघितले ते आणि आता त्यांचे जे प्रोग्राम आहेत, जे प्रोजेक्ट आहेत, तर ते प्रोजेक्ट पण महिलांसाठी सेपरेट तयार केलेले आहेत की जसं आणि मला अजून एक सांगायला आनंद वाटतो की 1 एकर मॉडेल केविकेने सुद्धा आता सुरुवात केलेली आहे. कारण कृषी विज्ञान केंद्र आणि जसं आत्माच्या योजना आहेत, सेंद्रिय शेती गट, तर त्या सगळे लोक म्हणतात की महिलांना दिलं तर महिला ह्या करू शकतात आणि शासनाची सुद्धा योजना आम्हाला मिळतात. त्याच बरोबरीनं जसं ठिबक आहे, स्प्रिंकलर आहे, शेतीबद्दलचं जे काही स्कीम आहेत, तर ह्या स्कीम आम्ही महिलांना शासनाकडून मिळवून देतो. आणि आम्हाला आमच्या जिल्ह्यातले तर जे गव्हर्नमेंटचे अधिकारी आहेत तर ते खूप सपोर्ट करतात आणि म्हणूनच मग आमचं काम पण पुढे गेलेलं आहे. आणि आज आम्ही म्हणून 1 लाख महिलांसोबत, कारण एकाचं बघितलं की दुसऱ्या तयार झाल्या, म्हणून आम्ही आज 3 जिल्ह्यामध्ये हे 1 लाख महिलांसोबत आम्ही काम करायला केलेले आहे.
I'll quickly translate. Godavari Dange was talking about how they began this model focusing on self-help groups, which is already running by the organization, and they focused on 10 villages in Tuljapur block, which is in Osmanabad district. And over time, what they've been doing is they've been working across intergenerationally, and working with older women on the one hand, and also younger women as well as adolescent girls, and everyone's realizing how it is important when you have food on the plate and food crops are grown in your own land. But one of the things that she said is her focus has been on like younger women and building their expertise and skills, because for women who are above 60, it is very difficult for them to even practice agriculture, but they draw on their experiences and insights. And in terms of the second question about working with the state, she said that the agricultural officers have been quite welcoming over a period of time. While at the beginning they were not very sure, because it was about also changing attitudes about growing food crops and replacing that replacing cash crops with food crops was something which needed a change of mindset. And now over time there has been some positive response, especially from the Krishi Vigyan Kendra, and wherein now they are focusing on like programs focused only on women farmers as well, like increasing their skill set, providing them with irrigation and technology. So in some ways, this is why the movement is continuing to grow and is spread to almost 1 lakh women.
Thank you, Reetika, for the translation. I think we all need to know many more such stories as Godavari Tai, and we look forward to many more publications by Reetika and Maitri. Best wishes for, enlightening us with such stories. See, but for your efforts, I don't think we would have known about Godavari Tai, and but for the efforts of Shariu and Jamila ji, we wouldn't have, more people wouldn't know about it. So very important. And thank you, Pankaja, for the wonderful moderation. And thank you both for and of course, Padma, for the translations. And Godavari ji, आपको बहुत सारी शुभकामनाएं, और हम सब शक्ति आपको भेज रहे हैं कि आप बहुत बहुत सफल रहें और बहुत सारी लड़कियों को और औरतों को इंस्पायर करें. हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. Thank you both.
Thank you so much for this platform, and to the organizers and everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.